nag-run out daw. Ay, Sabado, Linggo, last Sunday. Sorry, last Sunday. Nag-run out daw sa Manila. Actually, dito rin sa amin sa Cabanatuan last Sunday. Nawalan din ng electricity. So, lakas yata ng ulan doon. So, everyone is okay. At yun, so let's start sa pharmacology. So, discuss natin muna dito yung terminologies muna tayo. So, basic muna. Okay, so first here is pharmacology. So when we talk about pharmacology, sabi dyan sa notes, it is a branch of medicine. So pharmacology is branch ng medicine na concerned sa drugs, no? So anything about drugs, um, under yun ng pharmacology. Okay? Then this pharmacology is or has sub-branches pa, has branches pa. So like for example, daan natin itong mga importante like the pharmacognosy. So when you say pharmacognosy, so study, branch ng pharmacology na concerned sa study ng medicines that are derived from natural resources. Di ba may mga drugs kasi guys na galing sa laboratory, mga laboratory made na drugs. Meron naman drugs na um herbals, 'di ba? Galing sa plants, ano 'yan, so na-derive sa halaman or yung iba like yung mga ibang antibiotics galing sa microbes, 'di ba? Sa mga fungus. Okay? Or yung iba may mga gamot na galing sa animals, okay, etc. So under no pharmacognosy. Okay? Kasi may mga synthetic, iba-iwala 'yon. So pharmacognosy again concerned sa medicines, study medicines na derive from natural resources like plants, microbes, animals. Next, pharmacodynamics. Um, Sabi dyan, branch of pharmacology concerned with the effects and the mechanism of action of drugs. So when we talk about pharmacodynamics, we're talking about um, yung ginagawa ng drug sa body mo. What does the drug do to your body? So that's pharmacodynamics. Like for instance, acetaminophen, paracetamol. Okay, what's the effect of paracetamol to your body? So we know that paracetamol is a kind of analgesic. It's an antipyretic, tama? So alam natin yun. So again, that's other pharmacodynamics. It's also how, okay? How does paracetamol does that? So bakit pag uminom ka ng paracetamol, nawawala yung sakit ng ulo mo. Okay, nawawala yung lagnat mo. So again, the house ng drugs. So under yun ng pharmacodynamics. So later we'll talk about that. Next, pharmacokinetics, ba siya pharmacology concerned with the movement ng drugs sa katawan. So in pharmacokinetics, we're talking about um, where does the drug go once it is introduced sa body. Okay? So under the pharmacokinetics, kinetic refers to movement. Saan dumadaan yung drug? Okay, paano nag-move yung drug from the time, okay, it is administered to the body until it is excreted. And in pharmacokinetics, we have 4 steps. So just remember ADME. So when drug is introduced, it should be absorbed first. There's the site of absorption. Then it will be distributed. Okay. Then once it is distributed, it must be metabolized first before it is excreted. Okay. So again, meron tong 4 steps. Just a minute. May tubig ka. Alright? So, again, so we have these steps na pinofalo in pharmacokinetics. And we will discuss this in detail, but I just want to give a little bit of information lang sa kada stage na to. So let's go first sa absorption stage. So according to our notes, when we talk about absorption, primarily, absorption of drug happens in the small intestine and stomach. Take note, absorption is not restricted in these organs, ha? Kumbaga, mainly, drugs are generally absorbed in the small intestine and the stomach. That's why a lot of drugs are given orally. So most of the drugs in the market, they're already taken. And again, and dito sila na-absorb. And just to add lang din, um, nabanggit ko, tama, I said this in anesthesiology, that drugs like anesthetics, they can be in the lipid soluble form and in the water soluble form. Okay? Okay, if you remember, when we are discussing sa anes, which type ng solubility can easily bypass the cellular membranes? Which type of solubility can easily bypass the cell membrane? The lipid soluble or the water soluble molecules? Ano sabi natin? Ano sabi natin? Okay, this the lipid soluble, the non-ionized or the lipid soluble. Okay, so take note guys, drugs in the market, we can buy them both in the lipid and in the water soluble form. Okay, so may mabibili ka na nasa lipid soluble, then there's some in the water soluble. But yes, when we talk about these two, we can easily, or lipid soluble drugs can easily bypass the cellular membranes. And therefore, lipid soluble drugs generally can be better absorbed in comparison with water soluble drugs. That's why a lot of drugs in the market, they are being formulated in the lipid soluble na na structure. However, I'm not saying that water soluble drugs cannot be absorbed. They can still be absorbed since they're water soluble. Okay, remember the cells. Let's say this is the cell natin sa J-tract. Remember the lining of the gastrointestinal tract. It is generally lined, no, yung stomach natin, small intestine. It is lined by simple columnar epithelium with microvilli. Okay, so the water-soluble drugs, let's say this is the water molecules, yung bilog-bilog na dyan, so water molecules ito. We have this water channels to cell membranes. So this water can be absorbed by the cells. Tama? We can absorb water. So as water is absorbed and there's a lipid soluble drug, that lipid soluble drug is being dissolved dito sa water molecule. And again, it is being absorbed together with the water. So ibig sabihin, still water soluble drugs can be absorbed. Okay, kasi sumasabay lang siya, so it is accompanied by water during the process of absorption. However, since lipid soluble drugs are in lipid soluble state, they can easily be dissolved in the lipid structure of the cell membrane. Therefore, again, they can better bypass the cellular membranes. Okay, but again, both can be sorry. I remember nung student ako, no? So, remember the vitamins? They have this water-soluble and lipid-soluble vitamins. I'm not sure if nakwento ko na sa inyo to. Familiar with lipid-soluble and water-soluble vitamins? See, who are the, sino yung lipid-soluble? Which are the lipid-soluble vitamins? Sino yun? The ADEC, yeah. The ADEC. While yung water-soluble vitamins, yung vitamins B and C. Tama po? Okay. So, remember ako, ko nakwento ko sa inyo to. Meron, nag-aaral ako sa CEU dentistry that time. I was maybe a fifth year yata na ako nun. So, once pag-graduate na ako. So, meron alam mo yung may mga umarang sa estudyante, then they'll invite you to join networking. Meron ba dito ang naya sa ganun? Networking. Yan. At sumali. Tapos nagbayad ng pera. Wala naman nangyari. Okay. So, anyway. So meron doon. So natak ako nung kaibigan ko. Kasi nandito daw siya eh. May Mustang kasi yung isang lalaki doon eh. May Mustang siya eh. Tapos yung isa may Camaro. Laging ganun yung sa sasakyan nun eh. Tapos meron inintroduce nga namin si network inintroduce nila si networking that time. Then they have this product. It's a kind of vitamin. Then they said it's vitamin C. Tapos ang ginawa niya, humingi siya ng tubig dun sa crew, dun sa McDo to CEO eh, sa may tabi na Starbucks doon. Tapos nilagay niya yung vitamin C dun sa tubig. Okay? Tapos ginawa niya, hinalo-halo niya, tapos pinakita niya na na-dissolve yung vitamin C dun sa tubig. Tapos sinasabi niya na yung produkto daw nila in comparison with the other vitamin C, no? So, madaling ma-absorb kasi makita mo malulusaw siya sa tubig. But that experiment na ginawa niya is actually demonstrating the water-soluble property of vitamin C. Tama? Kaya doon pa lang, di na ako talagang nawalan ako ng gana sumali. Sisip ko si Raul yata. Siyempre, water-soluble yun eh. Malulusaw talaga yun. Kaya nga yung Berocca, pag nilagay mo sa tubig, may meaning ba ng Berocca dyan? Pag nilagay mo siya doon, may vitamins B and C, malulusaw din yun eh. Because they are formulated in the water-soluble form. Okay? So, yun, na-share ko lang. So, kaya di agad ako sumali. Sabi ko, sinungaling yan kako kasasali dyan. Okay, parang may bayad yata 8,000. Parang ganun, something, somewhere, 7 to 8,000, parang ganun siya. And it's, again, drugs, again, some of them, they're in the water-soluble form. So, they're basically dissolved in the water. Okay, and again, they can be absorbed, yes, because water can be absorbed. So, sasabay ito dun sa aquaporin, so yung water channels dito sa cells natin. Okay, next. So once the drug is absorbed, okay, again, any form, lipid or water soluble, ma-absorb yan, parehas yan. So once they are absorbed, the next stage is the distribution stage. So the distribution stage will begin once the drug is absorbed already or once the drug is already in the circulatory system. So again, that's the time na magsisimula yung distribution stage. Okay, again, once the drug is already in the circulatory system. Meron nagtanong sa akin. Sabi niya, Doc, sabi ng student, how does a drug know kung nasa, specify niya pala, how does mefenamic acid, so mefenamic acid yung tinatanong niya, how does mefenamic acid know kung nasan yung painful part ng katawan? Like for instance, the patient, let's say, has toothache, so may inflammation, okay, malungkot yung pasyente, ouch, ayan, masakit. Yeah. Okay? So, sumasakit yung ngipin ng patient. So, the question ng student, how does mefenamic acid know when you take it orally, is taken orally, babagsak sa GI, paano daw niya nalalaman na makakarating to or na ang sumasakit is yung ngipin because it can go anywhere, right? Tama po ba? Tama po? Valid ba yung question niya? Valid ba yung question niya? Nag-wonder din ba sa isip niya yan? Okay, so, or do you wonder din yun? Okay, so, valid yung question, ha? Okay, ganito yun. So, once you take the drug, okay, so once na tinake mo yung drug, so tingnan mo yung drug, okay, so, the drug will be absorbed from the J tract. Ito siya magsisimula. And as the drug is absorbed, so again, balikan ko lang. So the lining of the J tract is simple columnar with microvilli. Kaya, okay. Sa likod po ng mga cells na yun, no? So let's say ito yung lumen ng J tract, no? Pag tagos po ng drug dun sa lining, automatic may mga veins dito. Naalala nyo, do you remember the anatomy? The stomach, the small intestine, large intestines, they have these veins connected to the liver, basically ending in the circulatory system. Remember that? Naalala niyo po yung picture na yun? Do you remember that picture? Ako lang nakaalala. Totoo ba? Naalala niyo pa? Naalala niyo? Naalala niyo? Okay. So, track kayo para alam ko before ako mag-proceed. Alright, so once this drug is absorbed from the lumen of the J tract, it will enter the circulatory system. Okay, absorption, distribution. Okay, once the distribution stage starts, okay, that drug will be distributed, Doc, sa buong katawan. Okay, it will be distributed, Doc, sa buong katawan. It will diffuse. Basically, Doc, the drug is anywhere sa body. And therefore, if there's this area na painful or may inflammation, which is nandun yung receptor site ng drug, magre-react po siya doon. Okay? Naintindihan po? But it doesn't mean na the drug knows where the inflammation is present. Hindi alam ng drug, wala namang buhay yun eh. But the drug is in your fingertips, okay, nasa toes mo, okay, nasa may limbs natin, etc. So, nandun siya sa buong katawan. Bali, think of it as parang tubig, tapos naglagay ka ng vitamin C kanina. Naka-distribute siya. Think of your body as fluids, as a cup of water, yung katawan mo, tapos yung drug na di-dissolve sa buong katawan, tapos na di-distribute sa buong katawan. Naintindihan po? And kung nasa may problem, doon siya mag-react kasi may inflammation. Like for example, may inflammation dito, magre-react siya kasi nga, nandun siya. But actually, the drug has receptor sites in other parts ng body din na walang problem. Like kunyari, dito wala ka naman problem dito sa areas na to. Meron ding receptor site yung drug dyan. Kaya nga may side effects yung drug eh. Kaya nga all drugs have side effects because you take it just for inflammation, but it may react to other areas ng body. And that creates the side effects ng drug. Okay, that's why all drugs have side effects. Kasi meron silang inactivate na receptors na hindi naman or hindi mo naman gusto ma-activate. You do not want it to be activated. You do not want that receptor to be affected by the drug. But again, you cannot do something about it because the drug has receptor sites doon. Okay? So, ang gusto mo lang sa oral cavity, but again, the receptor sites. Later on, we will discuss more of this. Next. Okay, after this distribution stage, again, the drug is being distributed in the body. So basically, eventually, it will reach, okay, the liver. Okay? And the goal of the liver is to convert the drug. Okay, remember, drugs are generally created in the lipid-soluble form because they can easily be absorbed by the body. But here's the problem. In order for the drug to be excreted via the urinary system, okay, para maitapon mo tong drug na to, okay, or basically by the kidney, the drug must be in the water-soluble form. Madaling, or we can easily excrete water-soluble drugs in comparison with lipid-soluble drugs. That's why when you take vitamin C, vitamin B, just few minutes after, iba na yung color ng urine mo, right? Your urine is yellowish. Okay, that's because these water-soluble drugs are being excreted. Okay? However, there's a problem with lipid-soluble drugs. You're taking them in the lipid-soluble form. So once they're absorbed, if they're in the lipid-soluble form, they cannot be readily excreted by the kidneys. Okay? And dun papasok yung metabolism stage. Okay? So metabolism or the liver, especially the liver, okay, converts these lipid-soluble drugs into readily excreted water-soluble drugs. Okay? So again, the lipid-soluble drugs are being prepared by the liver to be excreted. So again, everything is being converted by the liver into water-soluble form so that kidneys can easily eliminate them out of the body. Can you follow me? Gets po yun? So that's the relationship of metabolism and excretion. Now, liver and kidneys. So later on, we'll talk about more of this. Let's go to toxicology. All right. So toxicology refers to the study of the drug's harmful effects. Sabi ko nga, all drugs have side effects. Walang isang drug na walang side effect. Kumbaga ano lang to, pahinaan lang ng side effect. There's this drug na very aggressive yung side effects. But there are drugs na mild lang yung side effects. But all drugs have side effects since the receptor sites usually are distributed sa body and they just bind there. And again, you do not have control doon. Okay, but generally, yes, all drugs have side effects, but generally, in appropriate doses, they're not too much harmful sa body. Kumbaga, the body will just repair that side effect if that may damage the cells. But the toxic effects of the drug or the harmful effects ng drugs, generally, they appear pag nagkaroon ng overdose. Tama? Even though the drug is said to be safe, sinasabi nila na very safe, safe tong drug na to. Wala pang namatay dito. Sabi ng manufacturer, naniwala ka naman. Okay. So, wala pa namatay dito. Pero pag na-overdose dyan, sure yun. So, magkakaroon ng mortality. Okay. So, any drug, no? So, can lead to overdose. Can lead to death. So, basta na sobra. So, even water, di ba? Example kung kahit tubig. Okay, anyway. So, how do we treat toxicities? Okay, so first, ito very common na ginagamit is the activated charcoal. So activated charcoal are commonly used to treat toxicities, okay, because it has this adsorption property. Okay, Dok, sa bahay natin, saan ba nilalagay yung charcoal? Saan natin nilalagay yung uling? In a house. Where can you find charcoal? Sa house natin. Sa refrigerator, sabi, Dok, dito saan pa? Talaga sa ref no? Tatlo sila dito nasa ref. Okay, apat na sila talagang nasa ref. Okay, so nasa ref. Okay. Sa sasakyan, sabi ni Doc dito. Okay. Sa gilid ng ano? Sa gilid daw. Gilid ng, sa gilid ng ref. Sa gilid ng kwarto. Kala ko sa gilid din ng ref eh. Okay. Masasampal kami, Doc, ng nanay namin pag tinanggal namin sa ref. Sa CR. Okay? Sa barbecue. Yan, sa ihawan. Tama naman, di ba? Sa shurak. Okay? Yung medyo social yung bahay, may sarili shurak. Kami nung bata, iniiwan lang namin yung sapatos. Mahirap lang ako lumaki. Sapatos namin nandun sa ako san eh. Okay, ito si shurak sila. Okay, sa shurak. Ano eh, sa cabinet, sa newly painted na house, nilalagyan ng charcoal yan. Sa bathrooms, refrigerators na sabi na dito. Sa toothbrush niya, meron yan eh. Toothbrush with activated charcoal. Ay, Colgate. So, anong meron kay charcoal? Bakit kung saan to nilalagay? Even the water filters, I'm not sure if nakita na kayo ng filtration systems, may mga carbon doon. May mga carbon yan eh. May mga carbon filters. May mga ganyan, carbon filter. So, okay, so, etc. So, facial wash, sabi dito. So, what's in charcoal? Okay, charcoal has this adsorption property. So, when we talk about adsorption property, okay, it means that it attracts toxins. Okay, very special si carbon. Okay, si charcoal, full of carbon. Okay? So, it attracts toxins. Okay? So, that's why it is used sa kung saan bagay. Okay? Toxins or molecules tend to bind to these carbon molecules of the charcoal. And this is the same thing with drugs. So, tanong, when you take in a drug, okay, uminom ka ng drug. So, marami kang ininom ng isang drug. Toxic na ba yun pag nasa stomach? Toxic na ba siya? Pag nasa stomach pa lang. Is it toxic already? If the drug is still in the stomach. No, it doesn't have any effect sa body. Assuming all of the drugs that you take in, let's say kakatake mo lang, that drug is still in the J tract, it is not yet absorbed, it is not yet toxic, and generally, it is reversible pa. But once the drug is already in the circulatory system, that is a different story. Okay? Dito na nagiging toxic yung drug natin. So that's why, when the drug is still in the J tract, it's in the stomach, okay? Tapos say, nandiyan pa lang siya, kasi nakita ka ng kamag-anak mo, nag-overdose ka. So this can be reversed, okay, or can be or malilesen, possibly ma-absorb the drug by giving you activated charcoal. So that activated charcoal, once it is introduced nearby to the drug molecules will bind to the activated charcoal, and therefore lesser drug will be absorbed. Okay? Lesser drug will be absorbed to the circulatory system, and therefore malilesen yung toxic effects ng drug. Okay? Next, pangalawa, syrup of ipecac. Ito namang syrup of ipecac, so same principle. As long as the drug is still in the GI tract, we can still reverse it by inducing vomiting. Okay, so papasukahin yung pasyente. So, syrup of ipecac. Hindi na ito ginagamit ngayon eh. Bakit? Pwede naman sundutin yung lalamunan eh. Hindi, joke lang. Hindi na siya ginagamit ngayon. Okay? Kasi siya mismo toxic. Okay? So ginagamit siya for toxicity. Tapos siya pala toxic. Meron ba dito ganon? Yung ang galing mag-advise pero toxic naman. Meron ba dito? Yung kaibigan na yung problema, nag-a-advise pa eh. Siya rin naman toxic. Okay, parang ganun tong syrup of ipecac. Lumayo ka na lang. Huwag ka na magsalita. Kasi yun na siya ginagamit kasi siya mismo toxic. Next, gastric lavage. So, in gastric lavage, ito naman, dinadilute yung fluid. Sabi dyan, dala ko na, sa passage of a tube via the mouth or the nose, down into the stomach, followed by sequential administration and removal of small volumes of liquid. So, in gastric lavage, what they do is, let's say for example, ito ka, okay. Okay, let's say, nagkaroon ka nag-overdose ka, no? So marami kang ininom na gamot. So there's this tube, okay, introduced pwedeng sa mouth or pwedeng sa ilong, kung saan man. Tapos dinadala yun going to the stomach. Okay? Then what they do is um they deposit water, fluids, no? Papunta dito sa stomach so that the volume or that liquid will dissolve the drug. Tapos once the drug is dissolved, i-aspirate. Okay, i-aspirate nila to lessen the active drug na ma-absorb. So we call this gastric lavage. So it is done repeatedly. So deposit the fluid, then the drug will dissolve, withdraw, deposit again ng clean water, then dissolve, withdraw, etc. So we call this gastric lavage. Last, cathartics. When they talk about cathartics, it's sabi dyan, administration of cathartic agents. When they talk about cathartic agents, it means laxatives. Laxative agent. So when you say laxative agent, ito yung ini-increase yung GI motility. Basically, pinapapupo ka. Okay, gusto mong ginagawa ng drug, pinapapupo ka ng gamot. Okay, so para, obviously, when GI motility is increased, lesser molecules of drug will be absorbed. Kasi it will pass rapidly sa GI. Okay? Again, those are some techniques to treat drug toxicity. Next, let's go dito sa may remember. So what drugs now are contraindicated for glaucoma? So the drugs contraindicated for glaucoma is yung mga anticholinergic drugs or drugs with anticholinergic properties. So kumbaga not necessary na anticholinergic yung drug, but it can be that a drug is not an anticholinergic drug, but it has anticholinergic properties. So it can happen. Example ng anticholinergic drugs, si atropine, we will discuss, and scopolamine. Okay, so again, atropine, and scopolamine. So, those are examples ng anticholinergics. Ito naman, examples naman ng drugs na may anticholinergic properties pero hindi sila anticholinergics like the benzodiazepines, like diazepam. Okay, another example is diphenhydramine. Remember this diphenhydramine? Remember this an antihistamine, nalala? But it has anticholinergic properties. Okay? Another example is meperidine. Okay, we will discuss more of this pa sa dadanak pa. Meperidine is a narcotic. This is a narcotic agent. Meperidine, Ardor, meperidine. So these are drugs with anticholinergic properties, but they're not, again, generally they're not primarily act as an anticholinergic drug. So, mayroon lang silang konting anticholinergic drugs. Anyway, so ano bang meron kay glaucoma? What is glaucoma? Okay, so when we talk about glaucoma, um, nag, ang pinaka-drug, disease is nagkakaroon ng increase sa intraocular pressure. So, our eyes have this pressure because of the fluids present. If you remember, we have this aqueous humor and vitreous humor sa mata natin. Nalala po yun? Remember that? Okay, so basically, merong fluids dyan. So the aqueous humor, as it is secreted by the structure of the eye, known as the ciliary bodies. Ay, nasa na ba yan? Okay. So, galing dito yun eh. Ito, mas mali. So, galing dito yung secretions na yun, yung aqueous humor, which we call as this. Hindi naman tinatanong sa exam to, but we call it as a ciliary body. Okay? So, the aqueous humor is secreted from this. Hindi tinatanong to, no? Kahit nung yung tandaan. Okay? So, that fluid builds up dito sa anterior part ng eye. And that creates the intraocular pressure. Okay, these fluids must drain somewhere, which is dito sa canal of Schlemm na tinatawag. So there's this hole here where these fluids are draining to. So we call that as the canal of Schlemm. So that prevents the fluids sa eye to accumulate. However, in patients with glaucoma, okay, there are structures here that prevents the passive draining of the aqueous humor. Sometimes, like for example, itong pupil na to, itong pupil, dapat ganyan siya. Mali yung angle niya, nakaganto siya, Dok. If you'll notice, if it is positioned like this, again, there's a problem anatomically, the fluids cannot easily flow into that canal of Schlemm. There's this constriction dito. Therefore, again, leading to increase in the intraocular pressure because fluids will accumulate in the eyes, leading to glaucoma. Or sometimes, there's this, hindi na nakikita dito, but there's this mesh-like structure dito eh. May mesh dito, na structure dito sa part na to ng mata natin, hindi na nape-present dito sa picture. Nagtitiken yun. So, pag kumapal yun, that will also affect the draining of the aqueous humor. Again, it will also lead to accumulation of the fluid here, again leading to increase in the intraocular pressure or basically glaucoma. Ngayon, basically glaucoma, again, ang pinaka-disease is nag-increase yung intraocular pressure. Okay. When intraocular pressure increases, the pressure is distributed sa buong mata. Okay, the pressure is distributed sa buong mata natin. And the structures that are damaged is yung pinaka-fragile na part ng mata, which is the retina. Ito pong retina, yung usual na unang nanda-damage. And usually, unang naapektuhan, Doc, yung periphery, yung retina sa periphery ng mata. Okay? Ibig sabihin, in patients with glaucoma, what vision is affected? Yung central vision or peripheral vision? If unang naapektuhan yung peripheral parts. Again, if the first thing that's damaged is the retina and the peripheral parts of the eye, what vision is affected? Yung central vision or peripheral vision? If you can still remember physiology. The peripheral vision. Okay, if you remember, when you're looking at something, balikan lang natin yan, like you're looking at letter A, this is being processed in the fovea centralis of the macula lutea. And can you still remember that? It is being processed dito sa dark spot dyan. Which is, that's the structure kung saan napaprocess yung central vision mo, yung pinaka-object na tinitingnan mo. Okay? Again, when a patient has glaucoma, yung gilid yung nadadamage. Okay, that's why they have this tunnel vision na tinatawag. When you say tunnel vision, it means the peripheral vision of the patient is very, very blurred. Okay? The peripheral vision is very, very blurred. Ang malinaw lang is yung gitna. Think of it as parang you're familiar with the bokeh effect. You're familiar with the bokeh effect? Or yung portrait shot. Portrait, diba? Sa cellphone mo. Pataas sa portrait. Malinaw lang yung gitna. Mas malabo yung gilid. Parang ganun po yung nakikita ng pasyente na may glaucoma. Okay? So parang parang lagi naka-portrait yung tinitingnan nila. So we call it as tunnel vision. And anticholinergics, balik tayo, bakit bawal sa kanila? Anticholinergics will further increase the intraocular pressure. Okay, anticholinergics increase the intraocular pressure. Next, what is the most allergenic drug naman daw? The most allergenic drug is penicillin. The most allergenic drug is penicillin. Next, letter C. This is just an information. Local anesthetics, analgesics, and sedative notics are generally safe for pregnancy. Okay. Dito. Tanong, can we extract sa patient na pregnant X-ray muna. Can we take X-ray sa patient na pregnant? Pwede. Okay, sa first trimester, pwedeng gawin to parehas. Okay, sa second trimester, pwede gawin to parehas. Can we take extraction? Okay, so sabi na dito, so pwede mag-extract kasi mag-X-ray. Sa third trimester, pwede gawin to parehas. Okay, so ganito. Sa first trimester, or sorry, the best trimester to do these procedures is yes, this is second trimester. So, if we can do that on the second trimester, better the second trimester. Because in the first trimester, there's this organogenesis process that happens. Remember, organs are being formed, or organogenesis happens in the first trimester. And as much as possible, we didn't want to introduce drugs during the first trimester. All right. However, if there's a patient went to clinic, let's say 1 month pregnant, kakaano lang, no? Kakakita lang niya na buntis siya. But the patient's face swollen. Okay, swollen yung mukha ng nanay. Cellulitis. And fever reaching to 39 degrees Celsius. And hanggang mata, namamaga. Gagawin mo. Okay, pumunta si patient sa clinic. Will you give drugs? Will you give antibiotics? Or no? First trimester. Okay, so that's where decision is difficult. But also remember this. If you want a healthy baby, you need as well a healthy mommy. Okay? Pag gusto mo ng healthy pregnancy, dapat yung mother mismo healthy. Because infection causes the body to release stress hormones that affects the development ng bata. Okay? So basically, um, hindi mo pwedeng hindi i-treat ito. Mamamatay po yung nanay sa infection. Assuming di siya agad mamatay, pero hindi, kung may acute infection yan, hindi nalalalabanan ng katawan, kailangan ng antibiotics yan eh. So kaya talagang magbibigay ka ngayon ng drugs in order to control the infection. Okay? So you can give. So drugs are not generally safe. They have side effects. They may have teratogenic effects. But there are certain drugs known to have teratogenic effects, and yun yung hindi mo ibibigay. May mga certain drugs na hindi known yung teratogenic effects nila, and they may have but they're very mild lang or not common sa kanila. Like yung mga penicillin. So basically, I still need to give drugs, antibiotics to suppress yung infection. Kasi mamamatay yung nanay dok pag wala ang ginawa eh. Kailangan sabi mo, hindi pwede, buntis ka eh. Tapos after a week, nagkaroon na ng sepsis. 2 tao yung namatay, Dok, dahil hindi ka nag-decide ng tama. Naintindihan? Ako po. So basically, even in the first trimester, you can do procedures. Okay? Even, again, you don't wanna do it, you can do it no in the first trimester kahit ayaw mo, as long as it is needed. Basta kailangan, Doc. You have to do it. Okay? Basta kailangan. Okay? Doon mo na i-measure yung weight ng decision mo na ano yung mas kailangan ng pasyente. Pwede bang i-delay yung treatment or hindi? Pero kung kailangan gawin yung treatment, you have to do it. Okay, you have to do it. So again, you can take radiographs, you can give drugs, you can even do extractions. Again, on the first or during the first trimester. Okay, so take again as needed. In the third trimester, okay, the concern here is baka magkaroon ng premature na labor. Tama? Baka mapaaga, no? Baka mapaaga yung labor ng patient. Kasi when the patient is stressed, okay, so baka manganak. But tandaan nyo, infection is also a kind of stress. Stress din yan eh. May masakit na ngipin, stress yan eh. Okay? So, yun yung concern mo dito. So, stress din yun, yung nangyayari sa katawan ng nanay. And you can give drugs as well, safely, generally safe sa third trimester kasi tapos na yung development. As much as possible, ayaw mo, but again, if kailangan, ganun din ang rule. Ganun din yung kailangan, if needed, okay, you can give drugs, you can do extractions, you can take x-rays during dito, sa stage na to. Okay? So, tingnan po. Kami sa klinik, nagpo-full mouth restoration pa kami ng buntis eh. Okay? second, third trimester mo, full mouth restoration. Kasi na-stress siya sa bite niya minsan. Okay? O minsan yung itsura ng buntis. May ganang buntis yung maarte siya sa katawan niya. Okay? So may ganun pregnant. So we need to ask, syempre, clearance from the OB. Okay? But yun nga, minsan kasi yung nanay, kasi sira yung ngipin niya, gusto niya talaga ipagawa even during the pregnancy. Ayun na siya, minsan may masakit, may caries, or minsan gusto niya na yun nga, i-restore to. Pwede kang maggawa ng procedures. Okay? So, but again, I need clearance lagi kasi merong physician yung nag-check doon sa pasyente. Okay, kahit anong trimester no, kailangan lagi ng clearance. But again, you can do procedures basta kailangan. Okay? So, take po, even root canals, lidocaine, if magbibigay kayo sa buntis, lidocaine is generally safe. Lidocaine is generally safe sa pregnant na pasyente. Okay? So, tingnan po. Ito nga, just to ano lang ito, just to give emphasis. Meron niyang fetus inooperahan nasa loob ng tiyan ng nanay. You heard of that? You're familiar with that? Okay. Hinihiwa yung tiyan ng nanay, may sakit yung fetus, ooperahan yung mismong fetus habang nasa loob siya ng nanay niya. Tama? You're familiar with that? Are you aware that it happens? Are you aware that it happens? Are you aware? Okay. Nga, ginagawa nga yun eh. Hindi ka familiar. O, ginagawa yun. Ginagawa na ngayon yun. So, yung bata, yung fetus, nasa loob pa lang sa tiyan ng nanay niya, may problema. Minsan may problema sa spine. Okay? So, gagawin, bubuk natin yung tiyan ng nanay. Okay? Yung amniotic sac, bubuksan yun. Ooperahan yung bata. Isasara yung bata, isasara yung nanay. Okay? Tapos magbubunot ka lang, ayaw mo. Okay? So, pwede. Okay? So, you can do procedure. Imagine how stressful is that for the mother and the child. Yung procedure na yun. Okay? So, so pwede, ginagawa yan. Again, ang rule, basta kailangan. Basta kailangan. If you need to do it, you do it. Okay? Don't overdo the treatment. Okay. Next. Nasa na ako. Punta tayo dito sa teratology. Okay. So, teratology refers to the study of the damage to fetus during development. So, ito yung kinatatakutan natin. So, again, there are certain drugs na known to be teratogenic. So, when they say teratogenic, it means, alam natin, we know that when this drug is taken by a pregnant lady, it will affect the development of the child. So, again, we call it as teratogenic drugs. But there are some drugs na unknown yung teratogenic effects nila or hindi siya, what I mean, hindi siya masyadong severe na we cannot actually see it sa bata. Just to give example, si Missy, yung anak ko, nung buntis si wife ko, may mga ininom siyang gamot eh. Like, nagsa-furoxime siya. Kasi nagkaroon ng infection si wife ko that time. Naka-amlodipine din siya. Okay, so wala namang problema si Missy. So, paano nga na? But again, my wife is taking those drugs during the pregnancy. So, yung amlodipine, like, she took it for quite a while din kasi nga, nag-hypertension siya nun eh. Okay? So, again, so yun. But, so yung mga yun, they may have, or may possible na teratogenic effects, but we do not know, actually, and kung meron man, hindi siya ganun ka-pronounce. In comparison with drugs talaga na known to have teratogenic effects. Example, tetracycline. So as dentists, we're very familiar with this. So may tinatawag tayo na tetracycline stains. So when a pregnant lady took this drug, talagang sigurado tayo, no? Talagang sigurado tayo na yung bata magiging green yung ngipin niya. Sure yun. Okay? So hindi na siya pinag-uusapan. Okay? Another example is phenytoin. This is an anti-seizure drug. Okay, so phenytoin is an anti-seizure drug. So when this, may kasi doc, may patient, may seizure siya. I mean, meron siya epileptic seizure, meron siya epilepsy. Tas say di niya alam pregnant siya. May ganun eh. So hindi na alam pregnant siya. Then again, she's taking this drug. Tas yun pala, 1.5 month na siyang pregnant, di niya alam. And that will cause a problem with the development ng bata. Okay? So minsan, ano niya nangyari? Depending on the trimester, the earlier the trimester no na involved ano do sa drug, the more severe the consequences. Like for example, sa first trimester, tinito ng nanay, tas na-expose nga yung bata talaga or yung embryo. Minsan kulang yung daliri, putol yung limbs, shortened yung daliri, shortened yung limbs ng bata, may affect the development of the brain. So, malawak yung effects. Okay, pero pagdating ng second and third trimester, so yung severity ng effects nalilesen na. Kasi buo na yung bata eh. Okay? Another good example is thalidomide. Sikat ito. This is an anti-cancer drug naman. And this is an anti-cancer drug. And din ito, ganun din. Yung limbs ng bata. Ay, no, yan bata. Ano din, underdeveloped pag nag-take na to yung nanay. Kasi minsan yung, actually, this was, yung teratogenic effects ito na-expose after an experiment. So, merong experiment na ginagawa before sa thalidomide, yung newly discovered siya. Okay, yung mga bata, ay yung mga daga, tinest muna yung drug sa rats eh. So, the rats are pregnant, tapos meron silang cancer, tapos tinik or binigay ito doon sa rats. So, ang lumitaw doon, nakakatreat siya ng cancer. Okay. Tapos, wala siyang any teratogenic effects doon sa offspring, no, nung daga. Okay, so, syempre, after test sa animals, ito test sa tao. And ito yung naging problem. Tinest to dun sa mga nanay na may cancer, tapos buntis. So, may mga parang volunteer, syempre, na, sige, syempre, cancer yan, at gusto mong mabuhay sa cancer, pati yung anak mo, syempre, gusto mong buhayin. So, that time, may mga pumasok sa trials, okay, sumali sila doon, and yung, alam mo yung mga anak nila, yung paglabas, yung putol yung, maikli yung mga limbs. So, that's why, yun na, doon nalaman na sa tao pala may teratogenic effects ito. Sa daga, wala. Okay, so it happens sometimes. Next, posology. Posology refers to the study of drug dosage. Okay, kaya nga, ako, hindi ba kayo nagtataka bakit sometimes may mga drugs na they're being um, sold for 50 milligrams, diba, 10 milligrams, 2 milligrams, 250, 500, 1,000. Okay, so under rin dito sa posology. Mamaya we will discuss more of that sa drug dose. Okay, move tayo dito sa pharmacokinetics. So let's discuss this in detail. So pharmacokinetics, sabi dyan, it refers to the branch of pharmacology concerned with the movement ng drug sa katawan. So paano gumagalaw yung drug sa katawan natin? And again, nabanggit ko na kanina, it has 4 steps, ADME. So absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. So dito muna tayo sa absorption stage. Okay, so ito yung definition ng absorption. So absorption is defined as the process of drug uptake from the site of administration towards the circulatory system. So towards the bloodstream. So when you talk about absorption, so ito yung time na tinake mo yung drug, okay, and the drug is absorbed in the GI, and again, absorption will end once the drug has reached the circulatory system. Okay, baba tayo sa notes natin. So, there are different routes ng drug absorption. So, we have 2 general routes. We have the enteral and parenteral. When I say enteral, any route na involving GI tract, that is enteral. And parenteral naman, any route na hindi involved sa GI tract. Example, so first here is the oral route. So the oral route is the most common route kung saan binibigay yung drug. Sabi dyan, easiest to administer. So obviously, sabi mo na sa patient, take nyo po ito ng 2:00. Okay? So inumin niya, lunukin ni patient, antayin ng konti, lilitaw ng effects ng drug. So oral route is the most common use kasi madali administer, lulunukin lang ng pasyente. Lahat ng pasyenteng marunong lumunok, kaya itong gawin. Okay, rectal route, ito yung pinapasok sa anus. Suppository drugs. Okay, so kaya naman lahat gawin ito, pero yung iba syempre ayaw gawin. Okay, kasi nga parang iniisip parang hindi siya convenient, ano. But may mga ganyang drugs, no? So rectal. Another example, yung inalagay sa ilalim ng dila. Sunod niya nga doon, the sublingual route. That's also under the enteral. Okay, so again, sublingual route is also under the enteral. Okay, example nito, ano yung binibigay kong drug? Ano yung sabi natin sa angina pectoris? Anong drug yon yung binibigay sublingually? Yes, yung nitroglycerin, naalala. Okay, yung binibigay sa patient na may angina pectoris. Ano yung mechanism ng angina pectoris? What's the mechanism? Sorry, ano yung mechanism ng nitroglycerin? Sorry. What's the mechanism of nitroglycerin? Anong pinaka ginagawa niya? Nabanggit ko ba? Parang nabanggit ko eh. Alam ko nabanggit ko. Sa pathology. Nitroglycerin is a what? It's a vasodilator, di ba? Okay? So nitroglycerin is a vasodilator. Okay, so it's given sublingual. So that's enteral. Next, move tayo sa parenteral. So parenteral, again, any route na hindi involves si J-tract. So that's parenteral route. Example is intravenous route. So in the intravenous route, ito in the intravenous route, okay, the drug is being deposited directly into the circulatory system, which is it starts already in the distribution stage. So basically, Doc, when you use the intravenous route, is the drug being absorbed? Theoretically, yung titingin dito, ina-absorb ba yung drug? Technically, ina-absorb ba yung drug? Hindi, tanga. Okay, so in the intravenous route, so yung pinaka-drug natin, hindi siya ina-absorb, diretso na distribution. That's why they say in the intravenous route, it bypasses the absorption stage. Okay, so in the intravenous route bypasses the absorption stage. Okay, so sabi nila. Okay, so naman, kasi diretso circulatory system na. And take note, balik tayo sa oral. In the oral route, when you take in 500 milligrams of a drug, it is sure that we will not absorb 500 milligrams or we will not absorb the entire dose of that drug. Sure yun. Okay, we will just absorb partial dose of that drug. So assuming 500 yung tinake mo, pwedeng ang na-absorb mo lang is 300 lang. Yun lang yung makakarating sa circulatory system. Tama? Okay? But in the intravenous route, if I have here 10 ml of the drug, I can give theoretically 10 ml of the drug. Gets? So basically, in the intravenous, there's they call it as total absorption. Or there's 100% bioavailability na tinatawag. So again, total absorption or merong 100% bioavailability in the intravenous route. Ibig sabihin nun, walang labis, walang kulang. Kung ilan yung gusto kong ibigay sa patient, if I want to give 10 ml, I can give 10 ml. In the oral kasi hindi. There changes lalo na from patient to patient. Alright? May variation do sa amount ng drug na na-absorb. Kasi iba-iba tayo ng structure ng katawan. Ano? Okay? So what is bioavailability? Mamaya may description yun, wag nyo nang isulat. But when you talk about bioavailability, wag nyo isulat. It refers to the amount of drug that reach the circulatory system after absorption. Ilan yung nakarating na gamot sa dugo mo. Okay, ilan yung dose na yun after i-administer sa yung drug. That's bioavailability. So sa IV, 100% yun. Next, intramuscular. So another example ng parenteral route. So just take note of the angulation of the needle around 90 degrees. And an example sa muscles na ginagamit sa intramuscular route, deltoid, di ba? So remember in physiology, anatomy physiology, we discussed that. Deltoid. Another is gluteal muscles, tama? The gluteal muscles. Okay, so ginagamit din yan. Another is the vasus lateralis, di ba? So, meron mga common na ginagamit. Okay, so take note. Naalala ko lang pala. Okay, I check some of your, di ba nagpa-survey ako. Please answer the survey. Please answer the survey. Hindi namin nababasa sino nagsasabi ng mga yan. So, but syempre, be nice lang din sa, I mean, be honest, but say it properly. Okay? Wala, actually, wala pa naman ako nakitang bastos yata na magsalita. Okay. You can be honest, say what you want, but you say it with class. Okay, parang ganun. So say it na hindi naman in a harsh way. So but you can say what you want. Okay, so like, alam mo sa akin kasi may nag-comment, hindi ko daw tinalon ko yata yung lymphatics. Matatakal pa natin yung lymphatics. Okay. Kung mapapansin nyo, ay, wala nga ako kayong textbook. Discuss natin yung lymphatics. I have this, another lecture pa sa inyo about cells and tissues. Okay, so I'll run through dun sa lymphatics na sa discussion na yun. May nagsabi lang kasi dun, parang natalunan daw yung lymphatics yata. So I'll discuss lymphatics. I'll discuss cells, yung mga ribosomes, babalikan natin yung transcription process, babalikan natin, pati yung coagulation cascade, paano nag-perform ng blood clot yung katawan, so di-discuss natin yun. Wala kasi kayong textbook, so but yun, meron pa akong subject na ganun sa inyo. Okay, so hindi ko siya sinama kasi dun sa anatomy, physiology, histology na discussion. Okay, so again, ulitin ko, please answer the survey. Anonymous yun. So again, be honest. But again, huwag na masyadong harsh. Okay. But you can be honest. Walang problem yun. Kahit sa akin, hindi naman ako balat sibuyas. Okay, but ayun lang, wag lang yung... Pero kasi naalala ko nung estudyante, sorry estudyante kasi ako, may mga ganyan sa school eh. May mga estudyante, kung ano yung sinasabi na, as in bad words na talaga eh. So, I think that's wrong. That's wrong. You can be honest. Anong ginagawa ng professor mo, di ba? You can say that eh. But wag naman yung in a bastos way. Okay? Kasi balik tayo. Nasaan na ako? But you can say, no, anong gusto nyong mangyari, etc. Kasi ang concern ko lang, yung baka lang, yun nga, syempre, maybe you can feel something na I want to, ano pa, yung knowledge nyo sa part na yun, etc. Yun nga, like yung sa comment ka sa akin, yung lymphatics. Ayun, so matatakal ko pa siya talaga. Okay. Next. Nasaan na ako? Punta tayo sa intradermal. Okay. So, intradermal, take note of the angulation lang, 0 to 15 degrees. And kailan natin ginagamit yung intradermal? Bihirang-bihira natin ginagamit yan eh. The intradermal route is usually used lang pag nag-test ng allergies, tama? Pag may tinetest, usually ginagamit yan pag may tinetest eh. Like allergies, or if you're sensitive, if you're sensitive to something. Okay, tinitest, ginagamit yung intradermal if you want to test if you're sensitive or if the patient is sensitive to something. Okay? Yun nga, allergies. Alright, bakit? Bakit intradermal? Bakit hindi intramuscular? Bakit hindi intravenous? Why do we use intradermal for that? Because in the intradermal route, the amount of drug is being absorbed is very, very small. Okay, very low yung amount or volume of drug that is being absorbed intraendodermal route. So least yung drug or volume of drug absorbed in the intradermal route, and also slowest yung rate ng drug absorption dito. That's why if you are allergic to something at intradermal yung ginamit, hindi masyadong malala yung allergic reaction. It will just be localized dun lang sa area na yun. Kasi pag nag-check ka ng allergies, tapos in-IV mo, patay na yung pasyente nun. Okay? Nag-check ka ng allergy, tapos in-IV mo siya. Okay? Tapos nagkaroon ng allergic reaction, patay yung pasyente mo nun. Ano? So, be sure, again, sure ka na intradermal lang yan pag nagte-test ka. Next, subcutaneous. So, subcutaneous naman, ito naman, we deposit the drug sa may fatty layer ng katawan. So, example nito, insulin. So, usually, nagsa-subcutaneous sa may tiyan. Kasi makapal yung taba sa tiyan, di ba? Sinito malaki tiyan. Di ba? Ako kahit payat ako yung tiyan ko, may taba yan eh. Diba? So, nandiyan. So, kaya madali magbigay ng drug subcutaneously sa may tummy natin, stomach. Next, intrathecal naman, example to yung spinal tap procedures na tatakal natin. And another example ng parenteral is inhalation. Okay, like yung mga ina-asthma dyan. Okay, so inhalation lang dyan. Okay, may nagtanong sa akin. Sabi ng estudyante sa online class to, sabi niya, Dok, paano po yung ginagamit ng mga nagsashabu daw, nagko-cocaine? Yung sinisingot? Pero ba dito nagaganyan? Anong route daw yun? Yung sinisingot na gano'n. You call that intranasal. Okay, you call that is intranasal. So, yung mga sumisingot po ng droga, ano yan, yung mga granules sa sisingotin, that's intranasal. Okay? Na-absorb yun dito sa mucosa. Sa mucosa dito. Okay, next. Drug properties that influence the absorption of drugs. Sabi dyan, drugs must be weak acids like they're the pH of 6 or weak bases like they're the pH of 8 because sabi dyan, they become more lipid soluble when they are made this pH. So mapapansin niya again, sinasabi dyan that weak acids and weak bases na formulations make the drug in the lipid soluble form. And so when you check out the drugs in the market, lagi silang acids or bases. May phenamic acid, ascorbic acid, clindamycin HCl, amoxicillin HCl. Okay? So lagi silang either acids or pwedeng base, sodium ascorbate. Okay? So they're weak base naman. So ganun sila pina-formulate kasi nga they become more lipid soluble sa state na yan. Okay? Kaya yun yung usual natin makikita. Hindi neutral. So they are either weak acids or weak bases. Next, bioavailability. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. Bioavailability refers to the amount of drug that reaches, sabi dyan, the circulatory system after administration. So again, after ibigay sa yung drug, after drug is given to the patient, how much of that drug reach the circulatory system? We call it as bioavailability. And it is not always 100%. Okay? It is influenced by the following. Sabi sa notes, baba tayo. So first bullet. So bioavailability is influenced first by drug solubility. Of course, the better the lipid solubility of the drug, the higher the bioavailability nito. Tama? If the drug can easily be absorbed, more of that drug will reach the circulatory system. This is very obvious. Another that influences bioavailability is the route of administration. So as we talked about a while ago, so in the oral route, it is not 100%. But in the intravenous route, there's again 100% bioavailability. So routes ng drug administration can influence bioavailability. Next, first pass effect. So the first pass effect is a phenomenon, talong description, of drug metabolism whereby the concentration of orally taken drugs is reduced before even reaching the systemic circulation. Okay, kung napansin nyo, nilagyan ko ng space dito kanina ito. Naka-ready to kay liver eh. Okay. So si liver, po yan. Siya yung responsible dito sa first pass effect. Like tayo. So when you take a drug, let's say it took a drug, 500 milligrams in dose noon, orally. Okay. And bumaba yan, it reaches the circulatory system. And assuming the amount of drug or the volume of drug absorbed is only 350 milligrams. As yung iba, nakarating na sa stool, no? Yung ibang drug, let's say paracetamol, nakarating na sa stool. So this 350 na na-absorb sa GI, take note, before reaching the systemic circulation, these 350 milligrams must pass through the liver first. Therefore, hindi lahat, some of the 350 milligrams will already be metabolized by the liver. Merong initial metabolism na mangyari. Kaya pagdating sa circulatory system, pwedeng 200 milligrams na lang yung active na drug. Okay? That will be, again, going to the target site sa katawan. Okay, so basically, before reaching the systemic circulation, orally taken drugs are being metabolized muna. We call this phenomenon as the first pass effect. Again, alin description, let's go to the definition. So the first pass effect is a phenomenon of drug metabolism whereby the concentration of orally taken drugs, so only orally taken drugs are affected. Again, the concentration of orally taken drugs is reduced before reaching the systemic circulation. Basically, first pass effect increases or decreases the bioavailability of the drug. The first pass effect, in-increase or dinedecrease yung bioavailability ng drug. Okay. Dinedecrease nito yung bioavailability ng drug. And which organ is responsible? So first pass effect, liver. Okay, so again, the organ responsible for the first pass effect is the liver. And it only happens in which route? Only the oral route. Okay? Sublingual affected. Kasi nandito sa ilalim ng dila. Wala, diretso circulatory system din yun eh. Okay, diretso yun sa circulatory system. Okay? So take note po. Next. Ano tayo sa distribution. Or you want to have a break. Sige, break tayo. So let's have a break for 15 minutes. Then we'll continue with the distribution stage.